Mike Moore Media.
It's Moose and Moore back together. I'm Mike Moore, and Debbie Moose in Raleigh, freelance writer, editor, and cookbook author, is on the line. Hey, Debbie, how you doing?
I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm doing great as well. Two greats, the Moose and Moore together.
Back again.
Always enjoy our time on this this segment. So, and today we're taking a little turn from what you normally do. So, set up our program for us today, Debbie.
Well, I was thinking today we could talk a little bit about the late great bard of bars and boats, Jimmy Buffett, who passed away last week.
Yeah.
And how I was wondering, why that hit me so hard, and I did some thinking about it, and I came across his music at a really significant point in my life. I was in college, 1979, getting ready to graduate, and a friend and I were at there was a free Spring Fest concert. Well, it used to be. They stopped it. Rather obvious reasons. At UNC, and she and I remember going to that and hearing him and having that whole experience, and how people, it's not just the margaritas. Well, there's margaritas, but it's not just the margaritas. It's people have a heck of a lot of fun at his concerts. Since then I've dressed up. I've made silly hats. My husband has worn a shark outfit when the photo of that has somehow mysteriously disappeared.
Oh, dear.
Over the years.
Yeah.
And, the older I get, the more I need an opportunity to dress in some silly outfit and act stupid for a little while. Then
sure.
I'll go back to, taking my blood pressure meds and eating kale and getting my steps in and all that stuff. But every once in a while you need a chance to do that, and he afforded that. And when I got to looking back at his songs and his books of novels and short stories are not terrible. They're not bad. They're a good light read, and I think one reason for that is that if you look at the songs, it's so much storytelling. I mean, he, was with ran into these variety of people and really observed them, and the details are in there. But I forgot where I was going with this, but I need a chance to do that. And when I started looking at the songs, I noticed a couple of things. One is there are a lot of them that are about time passing and getting older. A Pirate Looks at 40, which a lot of people are familiar with. He wrote that in 1974. Who was singing about that sort of thing in 1974?
Oh, yeah.
And I was in high school. What was I thinking about that? And now it means something completely different. And the other thing is there's a lot of food in his songs. There's a lot of food. And, of course, the cheeseburger in paradise, that kind of thing. The, nibbling on sponge cake, smelling the shrimp, the Margaritaville.
Yeah.
But there's a lot. In fact, I have an entire cookbook I got from somewhere, I can't remember where, called the Margaritaville Cookbook.
Oh, that sounds cool.
And it has dozens of recipes, references to the songs and the stories about them. And the recipes are pretty darn good. I've cooked a lot of them. One of my favorites is something called Snapper Fried Light. Now, if you know the tune Landfall, from Changes in Latitudes, which is one of my favorite albums, one of the early ones, it mentions, what do you say we have Snapper Fried Light with Poulet Foussé, a bottle of wine. And, a lot of it's about seafood. This is just a real easy, pan-fried snapper in olive oil with a little parsley and chives. And the first time I'd ever used sherry vinegar, and now I love it. You deglaze the pan with some sherry vinegar. It also has a recipe for the 8th deadly sin. Now, you have to be a real Buffett fan to know what that is, Mike.
Yeah. And for those that may not know, please tell us.
It's pizza.
Pizza
is the 8th deadly sin.
8th deadly sin. Okay.
Is pizza. But there's a lot of food in there. I mean, of course, people look at Margaritaville, everybody's drunk. Well, yeah, people did a lot of drinking, but you know, as I got older and we went to, gosh, I don't know, I don't even know how many concerts. And, you know, as we got a little bit older, so did the crowd. You know, there were kids there. People brought their kids. People brought their grandkids. Mm-hmm. And, you know, he kind of went with that.
Yeah.
And, you know, acknowledged that.
Everybody aged together.
Yeah, they kind of aged together.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't like, you know, Mick Jagger when he's trying, you know, everybody there's trying to pretend they're 18 again. And I'm not knocking that, you know, if that's your thing, fine.
Yeah.
But, you know, we all kind of went on that trip together, and the food involved. We always took good food with us, and there was always good food in the parking lot. The parking lot was just a whole scene in itself. You'd want to go at least an hour early to walk around and see the scene in the parking lot with people with palm trees and all this stuff and really great food. And, you know, and they're like, you know, here, have some shrimp.
Yeah.
And it was just, I guess that was why it really affected me, and also reminded me, unfortunately, I'm getting old. I don't like to be reminded of that, but, you know, it's a fact of life, you know, well, unless, you know, unless the alternative.
Yeah. Today is something like Appreciate Aging Day or something like that.
Is?
Yeah, and I'm thinking, yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you for reminding me.
Well, tomorrow's Talk Like a Pirate Day, so
That's
I guess
right.
we should be glad we're not talking, you know, tomorrow. I'd have to be doing all this in a pirate accent.
Aye, yeah.
Aye. Mm-hmm. But I guess that's it, you know, and the food, like I said, was really important. And the food reflected also his travels. I was flipping through this book and found like 3 other things I haven't tried that I want to try. Like recipes for Cuban bread, you know, and things involving, you know, islands and travel and boats and, you know, places that, you know, I wouldn't mind going to, and I'm not too old to get there yet.
Sure, yeah. Well, and, he took us to fun places, and the music does that. And isn't it nice to have those fun memories of those times? It stays with you, doesn't it?
Yes, and judging, you know, as best I can from the songs and everything. Now, of course, he was a multimillionaire. He took care of his money and his, you know, who would only a really dumb person would not do that. But it sort of made me feel like he was never taking himself too seriously.
That's right, yeah.
And it sort of encouraged me not to take myself too seriously.
Right.
Because, you know, when you're young, you think everything's the end of the world or the matter of life and death, or what you do today is going to affect the rest of your life. But, you know, not usually. There's usually other things that are going to happen, other options. You know, just not taking myself too seriously.
That's exactly
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes great sense, yeah. But, you know, we have to have some age on us to really appreciate what you've just said.
I guess so. Yeah, I guess so. And as much as I enjoy good food and like to cook and like good restaurants, I try not to take food too seriously either. Because it's, you know, there's all kinds of good food. There's a good burger. There's a good, you know, piece of fried pork chop from a food truck. And then there's good food at a, you know, Michelin star restaurant in the mountains of France. I mean, there's good food everywhere. There's good food in people's kitchens. You know, people are like, you know, I just cook. You know, well, you just cook, but it's good.
Right.
And I think it comes down to how it's made and the thought behind it or the emotion behind it.
That's true. Yeah.
So, you know, people get, I may have mentioned this before, people get afraid to invite me for dinner because they think I'm going to, like, judge it or, you know, it's like, oh, you've written cookbooks. I'm not going to make anything good enough for you. I said, as long as I didn't have to make it myself, it's going to be good enough.
Yeah, okay.
You know,
so please
even
invite
I need a break.
Okay.
Even I need a break. And, you know, like I said, a lot of food in the songs. And how to cook the shrimp. Cooking shrimp is not seems easy, but it's not. Just plain old steamed or boiled shrimp. You don't want to overcook it. You have to be careful.
Mm-hmm.
And when you begin getting that little bit of aroma, you need to stop it because it's probably done.
Yeah. One of my favorite things to eat of all time. Today is National Cheeseburger Day, by the way, too. I'll kind of throw that into the conversation. Yeah, but I do love a good shrimp cocktail. Oh, and some good cocktail sauce with it. And I'm fine. I'm okay. That's a meal right there for me. Mm.
Yeah, if it's good cocktail sauce. I've had really
true.
Bad cocktail sauce.
Me too. I did say good, I think. Yeah, it's got to be good. Yeah.
I just make it myself. Ketchup, lemon juice, lots of horseradish.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Lots of horseradish.
Yep.
And maybe a little dash of Worcestershire to take some of the edge off the ketchup.
Mm-hmm.
And, I make it myself. But
that's the best way.
Just good old boiled shrimp. Like in the summertime when you get that shrimp. And, that whole part of I'm not trying to make him into Hemingway or Cole Porter or something, make too much profound out of it. But shrimp broiling with the windows open at the beach, that says a lot to me. But the smell, if you're trying to, I don't think some people say you should steam, some say you should boil. I don't really care. But the important thing is not to overcook it.
Mm-hmm.
And if I go by the smell. When you just start to smell it, you need to take it off because it's done.
Yeah. Okay.
And when I boil it, I usually boil it in a mixture of water and a bottle of beer and a couple of hunks of lemon. And if I've got some Old Bay, I'll throw some Old Bay in there, a couple tablespoons of that.
Mm-hmm.
And steaming it would probably do the same thing, or toss it in the Old Bay when it's done. There's a place where we go when we're on the Outer Banks that does really good steamed shrimp, and they steam it and then toss it in their own version of Old Bay as soon as it comes out.
Okay.
So I think the biggest crime people commit about shrimp is overcooking it. So just be careful.
Sure. Okay.
And then dip it in your cocktail.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and make your own. It's the best. Yeah. Well, this has been fun, taking us down memory lane here today, and some good memories that you have. Now, I want to make sure I heard you correctly. Earlier in the broadcast, how many concerts have you been to, Jimmy Buffett concerts?
I honestly don't know.
Okay.
I've been going since 79. I went since 79, and the last one I went to, I think, was he stopped touring a lot.
Mm-hmm.
He used to come to Raleigh every year.
Okay.
But I think the last one I went to was maybe in 23.
Okay.
Maybe about 5 or 6 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Something else I wanted to mention is that a lot of people may not be aware of how much charitable work he did for to help save manatees.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah,
environmental issues, and there are different Parrothead fan clubs, organizations all over the country, and they all do charitable work. The one in Raleigh raises money for the food bank and the Ronald McDonald House.
Okay, good. Well, I'm glad you mentioned that too. Yeah, but fun music, and we've enjoyed it. And he's left us with some really good songs that we can listen to and enjoy over and over and over. So thank you, Debbie Moose, for
and
your
they're good, great for cooking too.
Great cooking songs. Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing your personal memories about Jimmy Buffett. I appreciate that. We all do, and. So get put on a Buffett record and do some cooking and have a good time. Enjoy the moment.
Fins up.
Okay, you got it. Thank you, Debbie. Always a
Thank
pleasure.
You.
All right,
have
bye.
a good one.
You too. Bye.
Bye.
There's our friend Debbie Moose in Raleigh, and some good thoughts that she's sharing with us today about Jimmy Buffett. You can find her on Facebook. It's easy. Debbie Moose.